So I just sat and watched Arlo's coverage of Princess Peach Showtime. And to make a long story short, this is why I don't watch Arlo, right? Him being completely out of touch, whining about the game being too easy. It's made for little kids. Yeah, no shit. I'm really sick of these grown men trying to criticize video games because I'm a mature gamer. I'm an adult. I know I pretend to be a muppet on the internet, but I'm actually a grown man with children. You know, they have no conception of what younger players want, what makes a good, compelling product, and really the kind of joy that this kind of experience can bring. Like, it's really interesting looking at Princess Peach Showtime because I'm having a lot of Vietnam flashbacks to Kirby's Epic Yarn, which was a previous game put out by Good Feel, right? Like, this is the same kind of rhetoric we heard back then, right? Or you know how in like Kirby's Epic Yarn, like you can't actually die, like, remember, like, when people were trying to say that, like, it's too easy. Oh, man, Nintendo's going down a bad path. How can they not respect me? How could they put something like out? Man, I'm a mature gamer. Like, I don't want to play with yard. I want to play with guns and titties and just see blood all over the screen. Like, we saw the same thing in the Wii era, right? Kirby's Epic Yarn, in my opinion, got the absolute worst of it. Right. This was a Kirby game produced by a second party Nintendo studio, right? It was produced by Good Feel. It was produced by like this company, right? It wasn't made by HAL. It was like, just this thing, right? This title, what happened, right? Kirby's Epic Yarn was a banger. I admit that I'm not the biggest fan of Epic Yarn. It's not really my thing, right? Like, but I played it recently on stream and I found myself really surprised how much I really enjoyed it, right? The bright colors, the unique mechanics, the visual design. Like, Good Feel really excel at making these kind of games. And they have a long track record of doing this, right? Woolly World was great, Crafted World was great, Wario Land Shake It was great, right? They are really, really good at what they do. And the fact that these YouTubers, people like Arlo are coming out trying to say that like, it's so easy, man. Like, and you just know, like these guys, they're big advocates for games like The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, the first two Paper Mario games, things like that, right? Games that aren't all that difficult either, Like, I don't understand what the whole deal is with trying to dismiss a game for being too easy, right? Like it's just one of those things where I just look at it and laugh because to me it demonstrates that the critic doesn't really appreciate what the creators are trying to do, right? Like, Arlo in his video really downplayed just how much variety there was in these two playable Princess Peach stages in the demo, right? How different the costumes are, how good the animations are, like the visual design, the general gameplay loop. Like he tried to make it sound like you just press the B button and to win and stuff like that, but that's not really true, right? Like I've seen a lot of people like I myself was like really surprised with the complexity of like the combat and like the cake decorating stuff and like how much like the game was able to just do so much more than you would expect from a game like this, right? Like it's so visually charming, it's so distinctive, it's so adorable, right? And yet you're seeing Arlo come out and try to say, "Oh, this isn't what I wanted." Like you were really expecting something like targeted towards a hardcore audience from Princess Peach, right? You were really expecting that like Dark Hearts would be like the canon. No, no, that's stupid. Like, okay, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, like, like, what were you expecting? Right? And like this isn't the first time that like we've seen people do this, right? Like New Super Mario Bros, right? That's another really good example. Like how many people like try and like come out and say it's too easy, there is no complexity to the game, it's not a very good platformer, but in reality it's quite difficult, quite lengthy, quite has quite a lot going on and is really quite a bit better than people give it credit for. Like I do think of the new Super Mario Bros. Games as being better than the NES trilogy at this point because like, having played both so much in recent years, I've really come to appreciate just what new Super Mario Bros. Does, right? Like the entire justification for hating new Super Mario Bros. like essentially boils down to the fact that they released four games with a similar art style in like 6 years, right? Right, people were burned out on it. Yeah, that's kind of understandable. I do think that like a new Super Mario Bros. 2 didn't need to exist, right? But at the same time, like objectively, all of those games are good. Objectively, all of those games like added a lot to the mythos. They introduced new characters, new ideas, more power-ups, like all these really cool level designs, all these crazy mechanics that we'd never seen in a 2D Mario game up to this point. Like the idea that like new Super Mario Bros. Is stale and boring and derivative was always pushed by dipshits who who were upset that these games were as successful and popular as they were, right? And of course there are like endless examples of this kind of thing. I brought up Wind Waker, I brought up like I brought up like there are a lot of games that get targeted this way on Nintendo consoles, and it's really frustrating to me at this stage to see that like Princess Peach Showtime is like getting dismissed by so many people. When I think it's safe to say this is going to be the biggest Nintendo release in the first half of the year, right? I don't know what they're gonna do in the second half. They haven't had a Nintendo Direct yet, but like when I sit there and look at it, when I play the game, when I think about it, like I am legit thrilled about this. I think it is going to be better than Mario vs. DK. I do think it's going to be better than another Code R. It's going to be better than Endless Ocean. It's going to be like, the best Nintendo developed game in the first half of the year. And it couldn't be more obvious that Nintendo has a lot of faith in this product. It couldn't be more obvious that they've been promoting it. And I think the reason they haven't been talking about a whole lot else is to try and avoid the attempts by the community to write this one off, right? Because we saw this happen with Luigi's Mansion 2, 3 as well, right? Where this game came out, it was a huge hit. It was like hugely popular, right? Even people who hated Dark Moon loved it, right? Not that Dark Moon was bad, but like Dark Moon is an example of a game that was successfully downplayed in the eyes of like the hardcore gaming community, right? And the community is desperately trying to do that with Princess Peach right now. But like it feels like with nothing else on the horizon, they're gonna have no choice but to acknowledge like this game's positive qualities. And much like Tears of the Kingdom, much like Mario Wonder, much like WarioWare Move It, like Super Mario RPG, like everything else that's come out in the past couple of months, right? The past year, right? Slowly, this game is going to build up a following. After this game comes out, people like Arlo are going to be told to shut the fuck up and let people who actually enjoy the game talk about it. That's kind of my impression, like looking at this first impression video, is that like this narrative is not going to hold water. It's not going to hold up once the game actually comes up. That it's too easy, like, who cares? Like, if that's the worst thing you have to say about the game, then clearly the game is a masterpiece. Like, come on. Like, how dare a game be too easy? It's one of those things that just makes you roll your eyes and really needs to be called out for what it is. Okay, like I legit think at this point that Princess Peach Showtime is going to be bigger than Luigi's Mansion 3. I do think this is going to be like a very popular title among certain people, and it's kind of sad and pathetic to see so many people like bending over backwards to try and deny that at this stage. This is going to be another huge hit on Nintendo Switch, and there is nothing you can do to change that.